Everyone has their fears, whether they're rational or not. For me, it has always been dolls, especially the ones that looked human. There is something about their eyes that sends shivers down my spine. So you can imagine my surprise when I found out I had inherited a clown doll from my late great-aunt. We had only seen her a couple times, so I was at a loss as to why she decided to leave it to me. This doll was like something out of my worst nightmares. It was bad enough that it was a doll, but a clown doll. The doll's porcelain face was painted white with ominous red accents around the eyes, mouth, and cheeks. The eyes were just a black void. She wore thick white hair sticking out to the sides and a round hat that resembled a cherry tree. The costume was a typical garish clown outfit, mostly red and white. The size of a child, it was too big for me to feel comfortable around it. I would have thrown it away, but out of respect for my grandmother, I decided to keep it. Naturally, I hid it in the far corner of my closet, placing it on an old dresser that held clothes I had long since outgrown. I thought that would be the end of it, and life would go on as usual. Unfortunately, that turned out not to be the case. I am not the neatest person, so my clothes rarely went back into the closet. It took a few weeks before I finally came across a clean pair of jeans. When I opened my closet, it was on the floor in front of my dresser. I figured they had fallen off, since I distinctly remembered putting them on the dresser. But those empty black eyes were too disturbing to linger on them. I quickly grabbed my jeans and left, not bothering to put the doll back where it belonged. For the rest of the day, I cold and shake the thought of how the doll could have ended up on the floor. Curiosity got the best of me, and when I got home, I checked the closet. The doll was back on the dresser, just as I had left it. I cautiously approached her and peered into her empty eyes. Nothing. As scared as I was, it was just a doll, right? I must have thought it was lying on the floor. Living alone, I figured no one else could have put it away, but I decided to stay out of the closet anyway. A few nights later, I woke up to a sound like laughter coming from the closet. It was faint, but enough to wake me up from my slumber. I'm usually a deep sleeper, so this was unusual. The last thing I wanted to do was explore the closet, so I began to wait. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud bang and the laughter stopped. Armed with a kitchen knife and all the lights on, I finally decided to confront the closet. I slowly opened the door. Everything was in perfect order. Nothing was out of place. The doll was lying right where I had left it on the dresser. I picked it up, checking to see if there was a mechanism hidden somewhere, but there wasn't. With a frustrated sigh, I put the clown back where it belonged and walked out of the closet. Perhaps I was going crazy. In the days that followed, I was on alert, noticing small items missing or moving, especially bits of food I could have sworn I hadn't eaten. I surveyed my home for signs of past or uninvited guests, with the exception of my closet. The search yielded nothing, reinforcing my fear that I was actually going crazy. It went on like this for several nights until the laughter returned. But this time it was a loud, echoing cackle that filled the entire house. Frozen with fear, I didn't dare move. The laughter continued, accompanied by heavy thumps from my closet, until suddenly its door swung open. I heard the doll run into the house, open the front door, and walk out. As soon as she stepped out, the laughter stopped. Reminding myself to breathe, I finally worked up the courage to get out of bed and walked over to the closet. What I discovered horrified me. My old dresser was no longer against the wall. It now stood in the middle of the closet, and in its place was a hole. The hole was large enough for a person to fit through, but small enough to go unnoticed if closed. Next to the hole sat a doll with its arms stretched out in an upright position. I didn't dare look into the hole for fear of what I would find there. Instead, I grabbed the doll and locked myself in my car, calling emergency services. Later, the police confirmed my worst fears. Someone was living in my house. Inside the hole was a mattress on which someone had slept, and the remains of garbage were lying nearby. The most disturbing thing was that this person had a small collection of knives. Perhaps they weren't meant to be used as weapons, but just thinking about it made me uneasy. Since that night, my clown doll has never left my room again. It now has a special place on the table next to my bed. I still don't like dolls very much, but maybe they aren't so bad.